We meet the week as it is. Alarms at 6 a.m., notifications lighting the dark, banners that shout in crimson, charts that tremble and climb, a reporter's breathless cadence, a siren in the night. And yet we are here. That you and I are here is no small thing. It is testimony. Not that the world is quiet, but that we are willing to be still within it. Not that the storms have ceased to form on the horizon, but that in the boat, before we speak to wind or wave, we remember what governs. Be still and know that I am God. Let us begin there. Let it be understood clearly. Headlines are form. They are not authority over consciousness. They are the creature, not the creator. Do you not see? Form reports, but it does not ordain. Form clamors, but it does not command the life of you. Paul warns of those who worshiped and served the creature more than the creator, Romans 1:25. The banner, the graph, the expert panel, these are creatures. They can be used as instruments, but they are never to be feared as powers. Do not fear anything that has form, not even a thought, not even a word that scrolls by at midnight. The scroll does not scroll God. God is. Each week the pattern seems to return. The news returns. The fear returns. The mind begins its ancient measurements. If this, then that. If they, then we. If today, then surely tomorrow. And in that arithmetic, the heart tightens. Do you know that rhythm? Monday's resolve melts by Wednesday into compulsion. Just one more update. Just one more thread. Just one more angle. And then the mind predicts outcomes as if it were prophet and priest. We are not here to be naive. We are not here to bury our heads in sand. We are here to be free, free of hypnosis, free of bowing to form, free of treating flickering shadows as law. In the material sense of life, the game is always two powers. This headline against that headline. This party against that party. This index against that index. One force to overpower another. And it never ends. And it isn't going to be done. In spiritual consciousness, there are not two powers. There is grace, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Zechariah 4-6. We do not conquer the news by counter news. We do not conquer a fear by louder fear. We withdraw the false worship that endowed the form with power, and the form resumes its rightful place as servant, not master, as weather, not law. This is not abstract mysticism. This is practice. This is demonstration. For this week, we adopt a simple experiment, a daily stillness cue, not once, not vaguely, but as a rhythm. Before you touch the phone in the morning, pause and silently acknowledge one presence, one power. Before noon's second glance at the world, be still. Before the evening digest, remember, my grace is sufficient for thee. 2 Corinthians 12-9. This is not to refuse information. It is to refuse hypnosis. Information can be used. Hypnotism must be refused. The cue is love calling you home before you touch the world. I speak to you as one who has watched tickers race and doctors' brows furrow, as one who has sat with headlines that said, "It is over," when spirit whispered, "I am." I have seen forms rearrange without my wrestling. Supply appear where arithmetic forbade it. Health return where prognosis denied it, not because I found a stronger power, but because I ceased believing in two. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. Freedom is not the silence of all newspapers. Freedom is the silence of inward worship, the refusal to bow. So let it be clear to you. This week, do not bow to form, rest in the one presence. When the banner flashes, recognize the creature, salute it as information, and then return to the still small voice that governs seas and cells. Peace, be still, Mark 4:39, is not a mantra to lash at storms. It is the revelation of authority present where you are. Relax. Rest in the assurance that consciousness imbued with God is not subject to the tyranny of symbols. We will read, we will listen, we will care, but we will kneel only to grace. Now let us clear away a snare that has trapped many earnest hearts. Let it be understood clearly. The idea that if you are spiritual, you should not feel disturbed is a false measuring rod. It is not a sign of attainment that nothing ruffles you. It is not a badge of holiness that you never wince when the siren sounds. That is the ego setting an exam it can mark with gold stars. It is nonsense. Our master did not say, "In this world there shall be no storms." He said, "In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." John 16:33. Do you not see? Tribulation appears. Overcoming is the demonstration. Disturbance does not disqualify you. Disturbance announces, here is the place to prove presence. The crucifixion comes to you and to me as the sharpness of anxiety, as the heat of outrage, as the sag of despair, not with wooden beams, perhaps, but with headlines and phone calls and balances and diagnoses. This is the point at which the material sense urges fight or flight, urges you to grasp for a stronger opposing power. And this is precisely where spiritual life begins to live you when you refuse the battle of powers and rest back into the one. Resist not evil, Matthew 5:39, is not passivity toward injustice. It is refusal to confer reality upon a second power. It is the end of panic as method. It is the birth of discernment. Do you not know how the world works? It will supply you faithfully with a new headline tomorrow and the next day and the next. Today's alarm will be replaced by tomorrow's urgency. Then what becomes of your peace if it depends upon the calendar clearing, upon the ticker pausing, upon the last crisis filing its paperwork and leaving town? Peace would be perpetually deferred. That is not peace. That is truce, and even that on poor terms. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you, John 14:27. The peace of Christ is not conditional quiet. It is presence realized in the midst of reported noise. Therefore, when the heart jumps, do not say, I have failed. Say, here is my altar. Here is my hour. I speak to you as one who has been jolted awake by headlines and by midnight knocks, as one who has felt the body tremble in the ledger accused. And in those very hours, not after them, not once they relented, Spirit proved itself as sufficiency. Not because I steadied the hand more firmly or silenced every sensation, but because I turned not from caring, but from hypnotism. Do you see the difference? We are not called to harden. We are called to soften into presence. We are not called to apathy. We are called to compassion without panic. Blessed are they that mourn, Matthew 5:4. That is not a blessing on sorrow for sorrow's sake. It is a benediction upon hearts willing to feel and yet not to bow. Feeling is human. Worship is choice. When the outrage rises, you need not cork it nor advertise it. You need not make a spectacle of stoicism nor an idol of sensitivity. You simply bring it where it can be met into the sanctuary within, where form is seen as form and God as God. Perfect love casteth out fear, 1 John 4:18. Not perfect control, not perfect headlines. Perfect love realized, not performed. So let the standard be corrected in you. You will not measure your progress by the fewness of your tremors, nor by the neatness of your feed. You will measure by the swiftness with which you return, by the ease with which you release the belief in two powers, by the gentleness that remains even when your voice must speak and your hands must serve. If there is a cross today, bear it without making an enemy of it. It is the bridge to resurrection, not the proof that God has left you. Whosoever will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Mark 8:34. Deny what self? The self that insists peace must be purchased by the silence of the world. Relax. Rest in the assurance that disturbance is your invitation, not your indictment. When it arrives, you already know your practice. Turn first, remember first, love first. Then, if you must read, read. If you must write, write. If you must act, act. But you will do so as one informed, not as one possessed. That is our next lesson. To distinguish the use of information from the hypnosis of form, to be clear-eyed and warm-hearted without kneeling to the creature. Now let us look squarely at the mischief itself. Let it be understood clearly. The mind, untrained in spiritual discernment, manufactures two powers. The instant a headline appears, one notification lights, and before you have breathed once, imagination has given birth to an enemy, an inevitability, a tide that must be fought or fled. It is not the banner that does this. It is the ancient habit of believing that anything can stand over against God. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. John 7:24. The appearance shouts, and judgment, if left to habit, sets up a counter deity called threat. This is how the worship of the creature sneaks in the back door and takes a front pew. Politics, red maps, blue maps, forecasts, recounts, demands your bow. Markets a downward arrow, a trembling index. A pundit's grim mouth demands your bow. Illness statistics, percentages, curves, the phrase spike in cases demands your bow. Wars maps with arrows, a night vision clip. The word escalation demands your bow. Scandals, leaks, hearings, edited outrage demands your bow. Forms upon forms, images upon images, each presenting itself as if it were not only information but authority. Little children, keep yourselves from idols. 1 John 5:21. An idol is any form to which we attribute power. Do you not see the sequence? The phone murmurs, the eye catches, the stomach tightens, and without a whisper of prayer, without a turning, the mind enthrones the creature. This will hurt me. This will ruin us. This will undo good. And then, as if to protect itself, the mind forges a weapon and calls it God, and attempts to hurl God at the creature. God is not a power to be used by man. In that very maneuver, the two powers dream is complete evil over here, God over there, and you, the referee in the middle, blowing a whistle you do not possess. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. Psalm 115:5. The forms do not see you. They do not adjudicate you. But you and I, by belief, lend them breath. Let me press you gently with a chain of questions. Is a notification a power? Is a graph a power? Is a commentator a power? Is a camera lens a power? Is a map a power? Or are these only images in consciousness, useful as road signs, not sovereign as gods? Do you not know that the creature has no life of its own, no law by which to multiply itself, no mandate to curse you? Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them nor serve them. Exodus 20-5. Bowing is inward. Service is attention. Faith, fear. We have been faithful servants to fear because we believed it could protect us. It cannot. Only love realized protects, and love does not require an enemy to be love. Doom scrolling is not merely a habit of the thumb. It is a liturgy of fear. It is the heart at vigil before a glowing altar, chanting, "Tell me again what to dread, so that I may be prepared." And the preparation never ends, because the supply of dread is endless. Today, a rate. Tomorrow, a rage. Next week, a rumor. The feast of images leaves us starved of presence. And then we say, "See, the world has taken my peace. The world has taken nothing." We handed peace over, one glance at a time, to carved images made of pixels and panic. I speak to you not as an ascetic above the current, but as one who has scrolled into nausea and found no bread there, only the hollow echo of a mind fascinated by its own shadows. Now, if there are not two powers, and there are not, what then are we truly facing when we face bad news? We are facing appearance, pictures, reports, testimonies of the senses which may be used, weighed, and acted upon in wisdom, but which carry no authority to define being. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12-2. Conformity is bowing to the image. Renewal is turning to the Creator and letting form resume its context as messenger, not monarch, as weather, not law. Relax. This diagnosis is not an indictment, it is a mercy. For the very moment you see the mechanism, the spell is already weakening. You can look at a chart and say, form. You can hear a siren and say, form. You can watch a clip and say, form. And then, before you react, you can rest into presence and let one power be what it always is. We are not here to argue with shadows, nor to throw God at them as if grace were a spear. We are here to withdraw worship from the creature and abide in the Creator, and thereby to become men and women who may read the world without being read by it. Let it be understood clearly. There are not two powers. God is not a power to be used by man against enemies, against parties, against disease, against the other side. God is. Grace is. And the moment you and I attempt to fashion God into a cudgel with which to smite our headline, we have stepped back into the dream of too good over here, evil over there, and our prayers enlisted as artillery. It cannot be done, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Zechariah 4-6. My spirit is not a side. My spirit is the life of all that truly is. In the material sense of life, the entire game is sides. Choose, harden, rally, defeat. One party to conquer another party. One ideology to unseat another ideology. One drug to overcome one disease. One sanction to choke one nation. One argument to drown another voice. Always force against force, and after victory, what next? Another opponent, another bulletin, another mobilization of adrenaline in the name of being realistic. And it isn't going to be done. In spiritual consciousness, there are not two powers. There is grace unopposed, unopposable, not because it beats anything, but because nothing stands opposite. Reality Resist not evil, Matthew 5:39, is not a charter for passivity. It is the instruction to withdraw the hypnotic belief that there is a second cause to be resisted, a second mind to be appeased or destroyed. Do you not see how this looks in our daily round? A headline appears, a figure speaks, a diagnosis is handed across a desk. These are events. We do not deny events. We do not pretend that forms are not reporting. We do not close our eyes while driving and call it faith. No. We deny that events possess spiritual authority. We refuse to concede that a sentence in print, a chart on a screen, a verdict in a chamber can invade the ground of being where God alone is. Because the Master said, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment, John 7:24. Righteous judgment is the remembrance that appearance is never authority. Authority is God, and God is not contracted to our side, nor hired to defend our party, nor mobilized to vindicate our outrage. Clear as throat, hear this as correction and mercy. Grace is not a weapon. Grace is a state of realization. When love is realized as the substance of being, the compulsion to fight shadows drops of itself because we no longer believe the shadows legislate life. Love your enemies, Matthew 5:44, is not sentimental advice. It is an unveiling. The so-called enemy has no spiritual power to harm what God is being as you. Love, realized, dissolves the second throne. If God be for us, who can be against us? Romans 8:31. But this us is not our faction. It is the us of spiritual identity, God expressing as God's own. When you rest there, action, yes, action emerges clean of hatred and free of fear. Let me ask you, have you felt the weariness that comes from deputizing God to smite the people who frighten you? Have you noticed how thin your peace becomes when it depends upon the other side losing? That is not peace. That is a truce maintained by headlines. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. John 14:27. The peace that Christ gives is not fragile because it is not in competition. It is presence recognized. And presence recognized guides real steps, letters written, votes cast, meals brought, hands held, but it does not dream of enemies with independent power. It sees form as form and God as God. So our work with the news is not to beat it, not to outshout it, not to recruit God against it. Our work is to meet it without granting it a second throne. We overcome the news, not by fighting it, but by overcoming the belief that it has power. Then, and only then, can information be used rightly as servant, not sovereign, as weather, not law. Be still and know that I am God. In that stillness, the side-taking mind dissolves, and grace, unopposed, does what grace does. It reveals what is true, it orders the steps, and it leaves no residue of fear. Relax. Rest in the assurance that presence belongs to no banner and bends to no slogan. Presence is the whole of God, being the whole of God where you are. From here we can read the headline clearly, and we can lay down the need to win a war that never was. Now let us make the practical distinction and make it plainly. You may read, you may vote, you may serve, you may act, but you need not surrender the government of your inner life to form. Let the peace of God rule in your hearts, Colossians 3:15. Not the pundit, not the poll, not the panic. Peace rules. That is government. Headlines may inform your schedule. They may never occupy your throne. The kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17:21. Do you not see? Authority is inward. Form can report. God alone can govern. So we adopt a simple rule, and we adopt it not as superstition, not as magic, but as dehypnotism. 2 minutes before, 2 minutes after. Before you touch a news site, a feed, a broadcast, 2 minutes. Be still and know that I am God. 2 minutes to acknowledge one presence, one power, one life. No request, no argument, no petition, just recognition. And when you have finished reading, listening, scanning 2 minutes more, return to that same recognition. You place your going in and your coming out within the sanctuary. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Isaiah 26:3. Staying is practice. Peace is fruit. This is not asceticism. This is mastery. These 2 minutes do not remove your compassion or your competence. They remove the suggestion that the creature is power. In those 4 minutes, the idol is seen as wood and stone and pixels, and you are reestablished in the Creator. Then information can be used. Hypnotism must be refused. Say it within yourself until it lives you. Information can be used. Hypnotism must be refused. Now, a quick inner check. Gentle, honest, without self-accusation. Ask, am I seeking information or am I seeking confirmation? Confirmation of fear, of conflict, of my side's righteousness. Is there hurry in me? Is there a secret pleasure in outrage? Do I feel smaller and more brittle with every scroll? If so, you are not informed. You are being formed by mesmerism. Close the device. 2 minutes. Return to presence. Take no thought for your life, Matthew 6:25, does not command irresponsibility. It forbids anxious manufacture. Thought will be given when love is realized. Conversely, ask, is my breath easy? Is there room in me to stop mid-article without anxiety? Do I feel an openness to act or not act without compulsion? Do I sense goodwill toward those I disagree with? That is clarity. Informed action arises from clarity. Reactive action arises from mesmerism. Let me give you the standard by which to measure, and let it be compassionate. We are not grading your feed. We are watching your heart. If, after consuming news, your impulse is to argue, to coerce, to prove, to punish, you have been nudged toward the second throne. Rest back. If, after consuming news, your impulse is to understand, to serve, to write a letter without venom, to bring a meal without superiority, to vote without dread, then peace is ruling, and information is servant, not sovereign. Resist not evil, Matthew 5:39, means you do not fight shadows. You let light reveal, and then you move as light directs. Action born of peace carries no residue of fear. Do you not know how freeing this is? You need not detox the world to find equanimity. You need only yield the inner scepter to its rightful king. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Matthew 6:33. Seek first the 2 minutes before. Seek again the 2 minutes after. Between them, read, listen, learn. Then let added things come as they will, without your clutching. We will practice this, you and I, not to prove a theory, but to live a new consciousness For 7 days, not a vow for life, not an oath to impress, just 7 days, we will refuse to bow to form. We will be informed, yes. We will not be hypnotized. And you will see, not because I promise it, but because God is what God is, that decisions taken from quiet are cleaner, conversations held from quiet are kinder, and steps ordered from quiet are surer. Relax. Rest in the assurance that peace governs, even now, and from that government our hands are guided. Tomorrow, we begin the experiment. Tonight, let the heart consent. Information can be used. Hypnotism must be refused. Let it be understood clearly. For 7 days, we are conducting a holy experiment, not to prove anything to anyone, but to let truth descend from our lips into our hearts. The practice is simple, and because it is simple, the mind will try to make it complicated. Do not grant it that privilege. 3 times a day, without fail if you can, with gentleness if you cannot. Meet form with the remembrance of the One. Morning stillness before input. Do not reach first for the screen. Reach first for the sanctuary. Sit on the edge of the bed if you must, and breathe once, twice. Then, silently, deliberately, there are not 2 powers. This is form. The presence is the power. Let those words rest in you. 2 minutes. No pleading. No bargaining. Recognition only. Be still and know that I am God. If a thought intrudes, what might happen? What will they do? What if? Do not argue. Smile inwardly and return. They're not 2 powers. This is form. The presence is the power. Time again and time again and time again until the cadence drops below thought and becomes knowing. Midday reset. After exposure. When you have read an article, watched a segment, listened to a report, do not sprint into reaction. Close the device, lower the eyes, and seal the moment as you began it. There are not 2 powers. This is form. The presence is the power. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. John 7:24. Righteous judgment is the simple, clean remembrance that no headline legislates. Life, 2 minutes more. If you must act after act, if you must write, write. But let action be born of presence, not of panic. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Isaiah 26:3. Stay a moment. Let peace govern. Evening release. Before sleep. Review nothing to stoke fear. If the day was choppy, if you forgot the practice in the rush, bring it now to the altar and lay it down. Whisper. There are not 2 powers. This is form. The presence is the power. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. Psalm 55:22. Cast the images back into their true weightlessness. Consent to rest. He giveth his beloved sleep. Psalm 127:2. Sleep as one kept, not as one on guard duty before the altar of anxiety. How shall we measure success? Not by the silence of the world, not by the instant rearrangement of events, not by the disappearance of feeling. We measure by government, by who rules within. Are your returns swifter? Is there a small widening in the chest where there was clench? Do you find yourself able to disagree without venom, to speak without trembling, to pause without guilt? These are fruits. By their fruits ye shall know them. Matthew 7:20. And what are the fruits? The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith. Galatians 5:22. If these ripen, even slightly, the experiment is succeeding. Expect the mind to protest. It will say, this is denial. It will say, you will grow naive. It will say, you are irresponsible if you do not carry the weight of the world in your muscles. Let it talk. Do not wrestle. Resist not evil. Matthew 5:39. Do not resist even the argument. Simply do not enthrone it. Return to the statement. There are not two powers. This is form. The presence is the power. If the mind insists, answer it with a smile and silence. You are not refusing to know. You are refusing to bow. You are not abandoning action. You are abandoning panic as method. Give yourself helps. Place the statements on a small card by your bed, on your desk, in your pocket. Set a gentle chime at morning, midday, and evening, not as a tyrant, but as a bell to prayer. When you forget, and you will forget, your very remembering is a demonstration. Each return is a victory, not over the world, but over the belief that the world governs you. Relax. Rest in the assurance that the simplest faithfulness bears the deepest fruit. For 7 days we will do this together. And when fear surges, and it may, we will know what to do. We will not fight shadows. We will return first to presence. My grace is sufficient for thee. 2 Corinthians 12-9. From that sufficiency, wisdom will order your steps. Someday this week, perhaps when you are sure you are gliding, a story will strike your personal nerve. It will have your child's age in it, your savings in it, your neighborhood in it, your history in it. The body will answer, the breath will shorten, the fingers will reach for more. Let it be understood clearly. This is not failure. This is appointment. This is the crucifixion moment, not with Roman wood, but with images and implications that would nail your peace to their cross. Do you not see? This very surge is the signal, the bell calling you to practice. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Matthew 5-4. Comfort is not a mood. Comfort is presence realized in the face of the appearance. What then is to be done in that first hot second? Not wrestling, not arguing with the headline, not crafting a better take, not summoning a stronger opposing force. Resist not evil, Matthew 5:39. Withdraw from the battle. Refuse the invitation to a fight with shadows. Lay the device down. Feel the chair. Let the breath arrive again without your command. Turn inside and say without strain, there are not two powers. This is form. The presence is the power. Repeat it softly, not as magic, but as recognition. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46-10. Stillness is not paralysis. It is authority remembered. Knowledge is not data. It is the heart's consent to what already is. Now, guide yourself with clean questions. What am I actually facing in this room, in this moment? Is there a hand on my shoulder requiring immediate action? Is there a cry from the next room? Is there a fire to extinguish? Or am I facing an image, words, and pictures projecting a future, summoning me to bow to a possible tomorrow as if it were law today? Do you not know that fear fattens on futures? Take therefore no thought for the morrow, Matthew 6:34. Does not dismiss planning. It forbids anxious manufacturing of catastrophe and then worshiping it. If there is an immediate need in front of you, meet it from presence. If there is only an image, rest until clarity arises. Fear is the cue to stop fighting images and return to presence first. Relax. Rest in the assurance that grace is present before you fix anything, before you post, before you persuade, before you pay. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. Isaiah 41:10. With thee precedes your doing. With thee makes your doing clean. In that remembrance, the second throne collapses. The creature, the headline, the clip, the comment loses its borrowed crown. God is not a power to be used by man. God is. Grace is. And grace, realized, is governance. Let the peace of God rule in your hearts, Colossians 3:15. Rule means the scepter has changed hands from panic to presence. Wait then, just long enough for the inner waters to quiet. You will find, almost shyly, a single next right step presenting itself. Not a campaign, not a crusade, not a scream, just a step. One phone call to the person you can actually reach. One donation to the work that is already serving. One boundary where you had been leaking life. One silence when you had been tempted to inflame. One note of encouragement to the weary. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Isaiah 30:15. Strength is not volume. Strength is placement in God, not in the creature. And the step taken from quiet carries no residue of fear. It does not require you to convert the world to sustain it. You may say, but if I do not fire back, won't the darkness win? There is no second power to win. Darkness is not a force. It is absence of light. Light does not fight. Light appears. The light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. John 1-5. Your practice in the surge is simply to let light appear by ceasing to crown the shadow. From that appearing, wisdom will order steps that are startlingly apt, startlingly kind, and sometimes startlingly firm, but never hysterical. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. John 14:27. The world gives endurance by adrenaline. Christ gives peace by presence. So, when the wave rises, and it will recognize your altar, do not make a drama of your nerves. Make a sanctuary of them. Turn from the image to the Creator, from panic to prayer, from argument to acknowledgement. 2 minutes may be all it takes. 10 may be needed. Take what is required to let the inner government be reestablished. Then go about the action that is yours and yours alone to take, free of coercion, free of the need to recruit others into your fear. If nothing is yours to do, then do nothing, and trust that doing nothing from peace is a mighty act. We overcome not by might, not by power, but by spirit. And spirit, once ruling, will see to it that your caring is useful, your speech is seasonable, and your heart remains soft, even while your spine is straight. Now let us bring this home to our tables, our texts, our group chats, our offices. Let it be understood clearly. To attempt to prove spiritual truth by arguing headlines is a hopeless task. A spiritual demonstration is only visible to those of spiritual apprehension. Do you not see? If another is intent on two powers thinking, good camp, bad camp, our camp, their camp, no quantity of your words will reveal the one. Flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. Matthew 16:17. Revelation is inward, not coerced. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. 2 Corinthians 3:17. And liberty includes the freedom to meet life in one's own way, in one's own season. I speak to you out of hard-learned experience. I have seen the futility of stacking verses against verses, graphs against graphs, links against links, thinking that if I land the perfect point, they will awaken. They will not awaken to your point. They will awaken to presence. And only when they are ready. Our task is not to middle school God into a debate club victory. God is not a power to be used by man. God is. Grace is. And grace refuses to bully its way into another's consciousness. Judge not that ye be not judged. Matthew 7:1. Judgment is the impulse to push, to win, to shape another soul by pressure. Love does not do it. What then is compassion in the marketplace of words? It is simple. Listen fully. Do not listen to interrupt. Listen to understand the fear beneath the facts, the hurt beneath the heat. While you listen, bless inwardly. Peace be to this house. Luke 10:5. Let that be your silent gift. If asked for your view, speak softly and plainly, without aiming to conquer. Let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt. Colossians 4:6. Offer help that is actually help. A ride, a resource, a meal, a quiet hour together. Do not offer metaphysics as a hammer to flatten their panic. The soul does not rise under a hammer. It rises under warmth. A soft answer turneth away wrath. Proverbs 15:1. Grant each person complete freedom to walk as they must. You may offer them a pamphlet or a book or a link, but you should not go further than that. You have not been appointed the custodian of their awakening. They have God. They have the same inner teacher you trust. Trust him for them as you trust him for yourself. If you find in yourself the itch to convince, to corner, to drag them across a line by verbal force, recognize it. That is mesmerism recruiting you into a second throne. Withdraw your consent. Be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. James 1:19. Slow to speak is not cowardice. It is reverence for freedom. Now for boundaries. There will be conversations that grow in flame, that tug at your peace like hooks. You may step away with love. You are not refusing people. You are refusing mesmerism. Say, if you must, I love you, and I care about this, but I won't talk this way. Let's pause. Then keep your word. Withdraw without contempt, without the last jab. Silence, when it is clean, is not superior. It is protective. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. Keep it. Protect the government of peace within you, because from that government your next wise, tender sentence will eventually be born. Do you not notice how presence speaks louder than explanation? As your inner state changes, your very tone changes. The pace of your breath changes. Your eyes change. People read that before they read your citations. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love one to another. John 13:35. Love can be felt even when you disagree. Love can be recognized even when you say, not now. Love, realized, carries a light that does not argue. Let your light so shine before men. Matthew 5:16. Shine it. Do not shove it. And when they ask the reason of the hope that is in you, answer not to triumph, but to share. Relax. Rest in the assurance that presence convinces in its own way and time. You and I are to be faithful to peace, faithful to freedom, faithful to compassion that never coerces, and then let grace do what grace alone can do. Let it be understood clearly. To agree that there are not two powers is not yet to be free of trembling at the next alert. You can recite the statements, you can underline the verses, and still feel your stomach knot when the banner flashes. Do you not see? This is not hypocrisy. This is the honest gap between head knowledge and heart knowing. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. It does not say, ye shall memorize the truth. It says, ye shall know. Know by inner light. Know by the revelation that comes of living with it until it lives you. Knowing is not housed in the forehead. Knowing is the heart's vision. Knowing is consciousness. What then is our method? It is beautifully unoriginal. We live with truth until it ceases to be a sentence and becomes sight. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly. Colossians 3:16. Dwell, not visit. Write them upon the table of thine heart. Proverbs 3:3. Write, not post it. Engrave, not glance. This is why we have adopted the 2 minutes before and the 2 minutes after. This is why we have established morning recognition, midday reset, evening release, again and again and again, before the screen, after the screen, in the car, at the red light, in the aisle, at the market, at the table, before the conversation, on the sidewalk, between the meetings, time again and time again and time again. There are not two powers. This is form. The presence is the power. Not to badger God into action, but to remove the idol from the throne. You can learn this with your mind in an evening. I have done so, and I have woken the next dawn to the old pulse in the veins. But that is not really knowing it. Knowledge that liberates is the slow alchemy by which this truth, repeated without strain, pondered without hurry, carried into the ordinary moments, descends from the head into the heart. His delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Psalm 1-2. Day and night does not mean without sleep. It means as a way of life. It means you meet form with remembrance as naturally as you inhale before you speak. Now, as you practice, add gentle watching, not suspicion, not condemnation, just tender observation. Notice how the body answers when the alert sounds. The throat tightens, the breath goes shallow, the shoulders climb. Notice how the thoughts race, drafting speeches, summoning allies, rehearsing calamities. Do you not see the mercy in noticing? Every such signal is your bell, calling you home. Let it ring. Do not say, I should be beyond this. Do not say, if I were spiritual, I would feel nothing. That is the false measuring rod. Say instead, thank you, bell. I am returning. 2 minutes. Presence first. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46-10. The stillness is your yes. The knowing is God's gift. As repetition takes root, something exquisite occurs. The reflex shifts. Where once you lunged outward to secure yourself by argument, you begin to sink inward to be secured by presence. Where once you scrolled for stamina, you now find stamina in quiet, and then you read, or do not read, from freedom. Where once you strained to change another's mind, to feel safe, you now keep thy heart with all diligence. Proverbs 4:23. And find that safety is not on loan from their agreement. And out of that transformed center, your words, when they come, are seasonable, and your silences are kind. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. Matthew 12:34. As the heart becomes abundant with one power, the mouth ceases to enlist a second. Be patient with this. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. Renewing is not a moment, it is a rhythm. Like tide upon shore, the truth returns and returns until the shoreline of fear rearranges. Set your chimes, place your cards, whisper in the car, pause at the sink, bless at the table, pray without ceasing, 1 Thessalonians 5:17, which means abide in recognition as often as you remember, and when you forget, rejoice that you have remembered again. This is how truth becomes consciousness through repetition that is not drudgery but devotion. And now, we do not add more sentences. Truth is not finally argued into place. It is revealed from within. At this moment, let us turn from speech to silence. In a few breaths together, we will meet the one who is already here. We will let the words fall to the side, and we will receive what only presence can give. Peace is not manufactured. It is recognized. Peace, be still. At this moment, let us all be still just for a few minutes without trying to improve the world mentally, without leaning on a single argument, without raising so much as a finger inside. Be still and know. We turn quietly from the creature to the creator. We loosen our grip on images and results. We take a breath, easy, unforced, again, and one more. Let the shoulders drop without command. Let the jaw soften. Notice the small twitch that wants to check, to refresh, to reach. See it, bless it. Let it pass like a bird across a wide sky. There is room in you for its coming and its going. You are not bound to follow. Now, in the soft of this breath, acknowledge the presence that is already here. Not summoned, not persuaded, here. The kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17:21. Within does not mean hidden. It means present at the level where power is not a contest. Silently, without strain, let us say, there are not two powers. This is form. The presence is the power. Again, slower, as if engraving. There are not two powers. This is form. The presence is the power. We are not trying to make anything happen. We are consenting to what is true. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Be still is our part. Know is God's gift. Let the phrase that has carried saints and simple ones through every weather fall upon us now. My grace is sufficient for thee. 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is thy sufficiency in all things, in headlines, in markets, in meetings, in midnight thoughts. My grace governs supply before you plan, health before you fear, guidance before you plead. God is not a power to be used by man. God is graces. We rest back in that isness as on a strong shore. Say within, I rest in the one presence. I rest in the one power. I rest, and I am kept. Now, let us seal a small holy cue for this week. Every time the headline calls on the phone, on the screen, across the room, let it become your bell to prayer. Do not fight the bell. Use it. 1 silent second of remembrance before reaction. 1 second in which the inward gaze turns home. If more is given, take 2 minutes before and 2 minutes after. If all you have is a heartbeat, give the heartbeat. In that beat, whisper, peace, be still. Mark 4:39. Not a command to the world, but a recognition within. Peace, be still, and feel the waters answer, if only by a hair. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Isaiah 26:3. Staying even for a breath is practice. Peace is fruit. We are not escaping. We are enthroning. We are not becoming indifferent. We are becoming governed. Information can be used. Hypnotism must be refused. So we return time again and time again and time again to the inner altar where no panic is king. There are not two powers. This is form. The presence is the power. My grace is thy sufficiency. I rest in the one presence. Now, breathe once more and let the breath fall out like a small bow. We will be faithful to the experiment for 7 days. No oath, no severity, just faithfulness. We will meet each headline with a moment of remembrance. We will let peace govern action. And then we will notice, not with judgment, but with wonder, what kind of speech rises, what kind of step appears, what kind of tenderness becomes natural when panic is no longer our legislator. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. Zechariah 4-6. Spirit will show you when to speak and when to be silent, when to write and when to rest, when to knock and when to wait. Go now as one inwardly kept. Hold the cue. Honor the second. Let grace be sufficient. And as you touch the world, let the world feel the quiet government of God in you. Peace, be still.